Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Consumables YouTube channel where we have freshly squeezed content for you. Today, we are going to do our very first review, guys. I've been listening to this album pretty much non-stop since it came out. So today, we're going to be talking about Nicki Minaj's brand new album, Pink Friday 2. I'm kind of just going to go through this record song by song, and then I'm going to give you kind of my statement about the album kind of at the end. So we're going to start at the beginning of the record here, guys, with Are You Gone Already? So to me, this song has too much Billie. I know that on Twitter she was talking about having a Billie feature on this record, which confused me because Billie's not featured on the actual track, but it's a sample, so it makes a lot of sense. I think that there's too much Billie. Listening to this makes me want to listen to When the Party's Over instead of this. I don't think that she changed enough on it. I think that if she was going to take a modern song, something that's just so recent, she really should have played with it some more to make it more original. Barbie Dangerous is great. There are no complaints from me on this song. It feels just like a traditional Nicki track. Fuck the Club Up. So this to me is going to be the viral hit. I've already seen it on TikTok and Twitter kind of blowing up. So I think that this is going to be the song that everyone kind of takes and does stuff with. Next up is Beep Beep. To me, this song is just playful, guys. I debated whether or not this song was necessary just because I do feel like this album is a little bit bloated. But to me, it's a good song. The more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. And it's just not something to be taken too seriously. It's just for fun. Fallen for You, I could have gone without. It's definitely not in my top 5 or even my top 10. It might even not even be in my top 20. I love when she sings. I think that it's great, but in my opinion, it just wasn't a strong enough song, especially to put this early on in the track list. I really feel like this one and Are You Gone Already just don't fit here. The other songs just feel like bangers, so I really feel like she should have filled out the first half with bangers and maybe left some of these more emotional songs for the end. Granted, she did do some pretty emotional stuff on the Pink Brent right off the bat, and so I get that, but for some reason, it just worked for that record. I really feel like this one is meant to just be more fun, so it just didn't work for me. Let Me Calm Down feels refreshing. To me, it gives the same vibes as Right Through Me for some reason. Like, when I hear those two intros, it just gives me the same chemical release. I don't know why, but this doesn't feel like something I hear from Nicki very often, which made me enjoy it. The J. Cole feature is great. That man is always amazing. And I just think that it was a good addition to this album. It feels new. It doesn't feel like something I've heard from her before, and it definitely has replay value. Next up is R&B. This is not my favorite song on the album. I really enjoy this hook, though. I really think that Tate Kobang did a great job on it. I just don't know if I care. I'm a songwriter, so I don't know if I care for the lyrics per se on this one. I get what they were trying to do, but it just didn't work for me. A lot of people on Twitter were talking about this song being a Rihanna, Nicki, and Beyonce collaboration, and it just being called R&B. And that would have been iconic. That to me would have been a huge Pink Friday 2 moment. Next up is Pink Birthday. Not sure how I feel about this one. It feels like an extension of something that I've heard on the re-up. It really feels like a scrapped demo from that era that she came back to after a couple years and spiced up. So I go back and forth on this one. I feel like this one bloats the track list a little bit, but if you enjoy R&B, you're going to like this song. And it makes sense because a lot of these hip-hop and R&B artists do have their big birthday song, and Nicki, I don't think, has had that until now. So I get her wanting to do that, but I wish she had gone more club banger and less R&B, you know? Needle featuring Drake is a cute song. I think that Drake is always a great feature. He normally delivers on most things, both lyrically and melodically. I love the dance hall vibes, but it does feel like they played it safe with the dance hall vibes. It's not like we haven't heard something like this from Drake. I don't think we've heard something specifically like this from Nicki. I know that she does do some island influences, but I feel like she hasn't really had a big dance hall song, and this was her moment to do that. It's good. It works. I don't see this being a single. I really feel like Fuck the Club Up is probably going to be the next single. But it's a good song, and it's going to be a good deep cut for her. It's giving when Drake and Rihanna collabed, and it never became a single, but everyone loved it. Next up, we are talking about Cowgirl. I love this song. I think it's super fun. It's silly. I get the reference, and I really wish Doja Cat had featured on this thing. There was a tweet that Nicki had tweeted, kind of hinting that someone was supposed to be featured on this record, but turned it down. And then I saw somewhere else online them saying that it was Doja Cat, but she was too scared to send her verse in because she thought Nicki hated her. And I don't know how much of that is fabricated at all. Like, who knows if it was actually Doja who was supposed to be on this, but that would have made the most sense considering she came out with the song Bitch I'm a Cow. And that would have just been so meta. Again, another huge Pink Friday moment, in my opinion. Everybody is next up on the track list, and this is probably my favorite song on the album. I think it's the most replayable. I think it's the most catchy. I think that it's the best use of its sample on this entire record. Comparatively to the rest of these samples, I think that she did a very smart thing with it. She didn't just let the sample play. She really made it her own, but kept a lot of the things that made the original magical. And what a serve to be able to take a Michael Jackson sample and actually turn it into something that's creative and fun and cool, because like that man is iconic, and to take anything of his, even just to cover it, it has got to be such a terrifying thing, but she really pulled it off in my opinion. Big difference. So this song to me is the Nicki song this era. When she plays this live, people are going to go absolutely wild. I think that this is going to be in her set list for the rest of her life, for as long as she performs live, because I think there are just a couple of Nicki songs that like you expect to hear live, and I think now this is one of them. Ruby Red to Sleaze, I liked it then, I like it now. I think it's a fun interpolation of the song that she used. This was when I knew that she was chasing her own trend. Like, after she put this song out, I was very much like, okay, you had a big song with Super Freaky Girl, and now you're following that trend. I mean, it's just funny because I've seen that in the past where artists will have a big hit in a certain genre or with a certain shtick, and they will make that their entire discography. And quite honestly, with this album, I feel like she did that a little bit. She was very much chasing the success she had with a song previous to this record. I think that she took it and ran with it and is still running with it. But this is a great way to do it. I think that this one is fun. It's not a skip for me. Forward from Trini is next. I love this song. It's my second favorite on the record. I love when she brings out her Trinidadian influences. It just feels right when she does it, and when she brings these male features onto these songs, it just adds to the vibe. And I think that this one was really well done. It's so good. I get so excited every time. Like, it makes me want to pump iron, and I'm not a lifter, so that says something. The Pink Print had quite a few of these type of beats, and it's honestly my favorite. Nicki sounds at home when she's on these type of things. And it just is fun to listen to when you can tell she's comfortable on the track like that. Pink Friday Girls. So this one kind of took me back. I was shocked when I heard this. When it started, I was like, oh my God, am I still listening to a Nicki record? This is the pop song of this record, I think. One of them. One of two, to be honest. And in my opinion, the sample's just not used very intuitively. It just feels like they left it kind of as is. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like what they did with the Michael sample, where they really took the sample and respected it and switched it up and made it their own. I really don't think that this happened with this track. But I will say, once Nicki comes in, I'm completely fine with it because she slays this song. To me, this feels like when she did The Night Is Still Young on the Pink Print. It definitely feels like that's what this song is for this record. Next up, we're talking about Super Freaky Girl, the obvious hit of this album. Hit the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2022, I believe. Seeing this on this album really takes me back to when Billie Eilish put My Future and Therefore I Am on her sophomore album. There was just so much time in between the releases of those things that it's just crazy to see them on the track list. And what's even funnier to me is that I remember people asking her if Super Freaky Girl was the lead and her saying no, and then at a later date she basically recanted and said, oh no, yeah, actually that is the lead single. That was the lead single. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this song. It's a hit and it's fun. I don't skip it, but I do wish she had tried to take what she was doing on this record and expand upon it more with these other samples she used. Bomb Bomb is next. It's so much fun. This is a good song. I'm glad she did it as a promotional single. This one takes me back to Queen, and I love it. The instrumental on this is great. The lyrics are playful. No complaints. My life. I do not like this song. At this point, I was over all the samples. I don't think that this one was used well at all. I think that this song in general is just kind of overused right now. You know, I think Miley sampled it and a lot of people cover it, so I just am kind of over that. I'm kind of just over hearing the song in general. So to hear it being reinterpolated into another song just feels very tired. This is one of the songs as well I think that this album could have gone without. I just don't think that it serves it. Next up is Nicki Hendrix. I have mixed feelings on this song. I love the hook on this thing. I wish they had used it for a different song, or I wish that Nicki had at least changed her singing part on this. It sounds like something I've heard on Pink Friday before. It sounds like the Save Me of this record, but it's not done as well, and I don't know, it's just the melodies she chose did not hit for me like they do when she chooses to sing most of the time. Blessings is next, and this is a great example of her singing. I think that this is the best she's sounded on record. The feature on this goes off. The instrumental is fire. Like, it's cool to see her getting in her spiritual bag. I think it's really sweet. She's really only done this once before, and it was on the re-up, and I enjoyed those songs and I enjoyed this. There's just like a vibe to a gospel Nicki song, just something about it. Last Time I Saw You is next up on the track list. I don't know what she was doing with this song, guys. I feel like if she were on a label, that label would be pressuring her to make a big pop song for this album, and this would be the song she turned in to fulfill that for them. I don't know why, as an independent hip-hop artist, she is choosing to put out songs like this, but something tells me that this was for the general public. I think that she needed something that people who listen to all types of genres could listen to, and this was kind of a way of doing that. It really feels like she tried to mix like pop alternative with like kids music, and some of it works, some of it does not, if you ask me. So honestly, this is probably one of the least strong songs on the record. I hate the songwriting on this bridge. We've seen it before on Starships. Like, I don't know why she continues to do that, and I get it. Maybe it's just another one of the references that she wanted to make on this album, because there are quite a few of those. There are quite a few Pink Friday references to like Super Bass and Your Love, songs like that. There are a couple others that I can't really remember right now, but she definitely did that a couple times, and I feel like she was trying to do that on this song, and it just didn't work for me. Lastly, we have Just the Memories. So this is my third favorite song on the album. This is one of the only tracks on this thing to give Pink Friday sequel vibes. When I heard this, I was like, yeah, this belongs on Pink Friday too. It feels progressive in the sense that she's combining genres and it's not flat. I really feel like on the track prior to this, it was kind of flat, but this one feels fresh and crisp and she feels present. So overall, I think this album's a little bloated. If she had cut maybe 4 songs, I think it would have sounded a lot more cohesive. There are way too many samples on this thing. And again, I get it. Like, she's independent now, so she has to find a way to stay relevant. But I've definitely seen her do this once before with a label where, you know, she was doing her hip hop kind of crossover thing. She has one big hit, Super Bass, and then she kind of builds her next era off of that success. So we had Super Bass, and then we got Pink Friday Romans Reloaded, which was half hip-hop but also half just EDM sugary pop music, and even though it was still rap, it was obviously pop, and people kind of bashed on her for that a little bit, and she reverted back to her hip-hop roots, and she's been doing that and been successful in that. And I think that the same thing happened where she was doing that for a little bit. She got a really big kind of pop hit, which was Super Freaky Girl in this opinion, or in this case. And now she's built her next era, aka Pink Friday 2, off of this success that she had in 2022 with that record. But instead of it being on a separate album, she's just pulled that this time and put it on this record. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do see the pattern, you know, because in the case of Super Bass, it was that sound that made its way into the next record. And in this case, it was the idea of samples that kind of crept its way into this album. So I think in that way, so in some ways with the samples, because they are all pop songs, it is a pop record, but at its heart, this definitely feels like a more hip-hop leaning album compared to Pink Friday. And not to say that I'm disappointed, but I am a little sad that there aren't stronger pop moments on this thing. But I get it. She's a hip-hop artist. She probably saw what happened the last time she kind of leaned into the pop stuff, and she didn't want to deal with that again after coming so far as a hip-hop artist. But I also feel like she's come so far now that who would try to do that? Like, you can't stop Nicki Minaj. She can go off and start doing K-pop, and what are we gonna do about it? We're gonna accept it and we're gonna stream it, you know? Anyways, guys, that is my review of Pink Friday. I kind of do want to do a tier system. We're just going to keep it simple and do 1 out of 10. So this record to me is a strong 7. I'm not mad at it. It's not the most iconic thing in her discography for me. You know, I am a vinyl collector, so I'm still up in the air on whether or not I'm going to make the purchase on this. And again, some of that has to do with her still releasing music for this record. Like, that, I think, to me, is something that I don't know how I feel about as a collector of music, because am I ever going to get a complete version of this album, you know, or is she just going to keep releasing till she's done and the vinyl versions are just the early versions that she put out, you know? I don't know what her plan is, but I do hope the best for her. I do hope that she continues to grow as an artist after this. I hope that this was just like a SZA moment where it was just so much build up to the record that she had to put all of this out, and now she feels freer to do other things. But we'll see. I hope you guys had a good time today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.